We don't offer deliver breaking news on pre-market prep. We analyze what happens, but we got some big news. Nvidia earnings tomorrow after the close. We'll talk about it technically, fundamentally. Everyone has an opinion. We'll give ours. An exit from the C-suite at Apple. They whoop up on that stock, not thinking about the September 9th event where they're going to announce an iPhone 16 with AI capabilities. BMO on the move. We'll talk some other stocks that are making the price action interesting. T3 Tuesday, it's pre-market prep. Let's get things started.
Welcome to Benzinga's pre-market prep.
This is a volatile puppy here.
It's all about execution styles and strategies.
Okay, traders and investors, I have a feeling today's going to be a choppy day. We're just down a couple handles here, just about mid-range, 56.35. That's down 2 handles. The buck is just down a few pennies, but trying to get a bounce here. We'll keep an eye on what is a pair of highs right here at 100.82. TLT flat, 98.14. Crude just bouncing around like a ping pong ball in the $70 handle. That's down 35 cents at 77.07. Gold down 820, 25.47. Silver right at 30. If this thing ever gets a 30 bid, watch out here. And Bitcoin futures are down $925. It's 62,405. Let's bring in Triple D and AB. Triple D, Tista. I mean, I know you say chop, 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 but man, could things be any choppier than the price action after the close last night, the pre-market trading, and then now what you have early this morning?
Yeah, it's chop fast and not crazy chop fast. I would say like muted chop fast to a certain extent, but we had some movement last night. Apple was a driver last night. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. We got some individual movers. If you trade pot stocks, you're seeing a hit there as well. And Cava, a lot of stocks that are a stock that a lot of people trade. It's getting hit here this morning too. So I'm going to get into all those stories. AB, how was your evening?
My evening was good. I had a busy day yesterday. I was out and about, active.
How'd your pickleball match go?
My pickleball match. So I had a
Was
tournament.
that last week, or was that
over the weekend? Had a got a silver medal. So not the same as your gold medals that you
not bad.
that you showed the other day, Joel. Your swimming medals, but my silver pickleball medal. Maybe I'll bring that for show and tell tomorrow. Wasn't too happy about it. They say like bronze, like in the Olympics, people that get bronze are happy that they medaled because they were close to getting fourth and not medaling at all. And then gold's obviously happy they won. And then silver's like mad because they were right there, almost won. So that's how I felt after the pick.
Yeah. And also, the way it's usually set up is, you have a match for the bronze and a match for the gold. So when you get the bronze, you actually won your match. When you get the gold, you won your match. When you get the silver, you lost your match. That's probably why people feel that way as well. So, but that AB, you're right there. Congratulations on the silver. That's
appreciate it. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we've got a lot to talk about this morning. Cava obviously selling off on this news of some insider selling. We don't have the exact details. It was a group of executives that just filed for the ability to sell. So I don't know if in that filing we know exactly how many shares or how much the dollar amount is worth there, but. I mean, it's in terms of insider selling, like, okay, so what Cava IPO'd at $30-$40, it's up 3 times that. Like if you're if you're an executive and you have X amount of shares, say they want to sell like 10% of their shares, that's not that big of a deal. If they're trying to get out of all their stock, then obviously that's a different story.
Yeah, and this is really the first big sells. I don't know if it's the first sells at all. I don't follow the story closely enough, but these are significant sells. And you have multiples. So you have the CEO selling 24 million worth of stock. You've got is this the CFO too? There's CEO is the main one, and then there's another Theodore, I can't say his name, 12 million he's selling. So 5 executives selling. Running some through Morgan Stanley, I guess. Some of this is done through an offering here. I don't know if we have the price that they sold at here yet, but it is significant. So, and one thing to consider, like you were saying, is it's been on such a run. When you get a stock that's really depressed and you get insider buying come in, it's like a vote of confidence. This is the opposite. When you get a stock that's been on an incredible run, and now you have a whole team of executives dumping, through an offering here, it's probably telling you we have some irrational exuberance on this stock. And maybe it's just the case they want to go buy some yachts, they want to buy some toys, and maybe one of them's getting divorced and they're funding it like that, Bezos style. But it also could be the case that they feel like their stock is overvalued, and we want to ring the register on this, and they are ringing the register on this. And you know what? We've been talking about this. I don't understand the valuation of this, but I didn't understand Chipotle going up either all those years on its valuation, and obviously it grew into it. So maybe Cava can grow into it as well. There's some real believers in this stock. And again, when the story is hot, valuation doesn't matter at all. Question is, do these sales cool off the story?
Question, and you said this on the pre-market show. Was there some kind of exemptions, or we don't want to go there? Or
no, I don't know. People on Twitter were saying some of
people
them
on Twitter,
selling.
because this
so that you can't believe anything you read on Twitter. Somebody was saying this is some restricted stock. I don't think that's the case. I've never read that.
This reminds me of something. This is deja vu all over again. And I think maybe only Spinner or you will get this.
GoPro.
Oh my gosh. Dennis.
I'm good, eh?
That was a dozen years ago. Or 10 years ago.
It was 10 years ago, and GoPro was going up, and it was everybody was going to have their cameras on a stick. And then we had the huge exec selling, and that was right at the top. And it never, ever, 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 ever got back there again. It does remind me of that too, Joel.
Okay.
I don't know, it's hard to call tops. It's one of the toughest businesses.
Okay.
It's one of the toughest businesses of trading, trying to call the top. Did we just top out? Chad will ask you too. Did we just top out in Cava at the 128 yesterday? Will we never see the 128 again? I don't know. I'm posing the question. I'm not making a statement. It is a very tough business to call a top. But I think Joel is thinking like that because he's comparing it to the GoPro top. And that's what happened. On the GoPro top, all the executives came in and started dumping stock, and it was like at $92, and it was huge.
Yes.
And the stock never recovered. I don't think that's the case. And you're going to see some people coming in here today and saying, look, the CEO is up all this money, has all these shares. He's selling a little fraction of his position here, and he wants to go buy a new yacht. And so I'm buying along with them because this isn't a lack of vote of confidence. This is like, I want some spending money, some toys, some stuff from all my hard work. That could very well be the case. Lots to be determined. If it turns out to be the GoPro, though, you've got a stock that's trading at the most nosebleed valuation. We talked about this yesterday or the day before. Cava is the most nosebleed valuation that I maybe have ever seen on a restaurant. Maybe ever. It's trading 500 times earnings. Now, again, it's not really profitable. So, maybe it starts to grow. Maybe a better metric is price to sales. What's trading 17 times price to sales? 17 times. We did this already a few days ago. McDonald's trades 8 times. We've got, companies like, let's just keep going through the comparison. Domino's Pizza, waiting for the Pro, waiting, not going to get that one. Didn't like that one for whatever reason. Chipotle 7 times. So Chipotle is probably your best comparison. Chipotle 50 times earnings, price to sales 7 times. Cava 500 times earnings. Again, tough to do on EPS because they'll eventually make more money. But price to sales is a better metric, 17 times. So it's basically 2.5, over 2 times the valuation of Chipotle. They're trying to become Chipotle. They're trading over 2 times the valuation of Chipotle on a price to sales metric. It's really expensive, folks. That's all we're going to say. This stock is so expensive. It maybe grows into it. Maybe there's room. Maybe they're just going to continue to expand, and we're going to be like, wow, we're looking at metrics that don't matter because the story is still hot. I think the story just cooled off a bit with these insider sales.
Look at this. I was just trying to do some digging to get more information on this. GoPro Woodman, this is it was Nick Woodman that did the selling, has become the highest paid CEO. This was in back in 2015. He was the one that sold all the stock. he was the one that got rich off it. So I don't know if this is a Brian Nickel kind of thing. I don't know if this is a, what it. I will just give it technically here, and I'd say the gap up low you had a low at 110. If you just want to shrug this off and say, hey, whatever, no big deal here. I'm going to stay long. If it starts to get into that gap area, which kind of feels like it does, then there's really some room on the downside. On the upside, bottom of yesterday's range, good luck, 120, 188.
It's hard at a certain point in time. You've got to understand, like, we buy the dip, I buy the dip on strong stocks, buy the dip on good stocks. And the stock has been all of those things. So your core strategy of buying the dip on good names is there on this. It just can't stomach not having any valuation support whatsoever, because we know, the Lululemons, the Under Armours, and again, this is, retail to restaurants. Chipotle stayed with a high valuation for a very long time. Costco stayed with a high valuation the entire duration of the stock. Still trade 45 or 50 times earnings. So they can stay with high valuations for a long time, and they can stay on high valuations that continue to grow for a very, very long time. It's just, I don't know. Like, have you eaten one? AB, have you eaten on a Cava?
No, I was just going to say, you said you can't stomach buying it with the valuation. I can't stomach buying it without trying it. And I did have some friends, actually.
Good point.
I think they're in Chicago, and there's one there. I had some friends talking about it, how they were like, I was very surprised, in a good way, because they were expecting it to be a little underwhelming. Like they like Chipotle, and they were like, it was actually better than Chipotle, all this stuff. So, once I try one, and if I see that, okay, maybe if this continues to grow, someone in the chat made a good point that it was Jay Rice. It's all about room for expansion. McDonald's, Starbucks, which are everywhere already. Cava, has room to expand because they don't even have any in the Detroit area. So once they do get one up here, I will try it out. But let's move on from Cava. Let's talk about Pinduoduo's price action yesterday. We talked about it yesterday during the show. But then throughout the day, the stock continued to move lower, closed down about $40, about 29.
Wow.
28.5% here. So a huge move on Pinduoduo. You looked at the other Chinese stocks, and they took a hit yesterday too. We are also getting, I'm just going to give this news both at the same time. We also got news that JD.com is doing a $5 billion repurchase this morning. So JD is actually getting a pop this morning, and Baba is trading up as well. And Pinduoduo is relatively flat this morning. A lot of times after a stock craters that hard, you'll see it continuing to move lower the next day. But Pinduoduo hanging out this morning.
So much to take in here. The Pinduoduo hit was nothing short of unbelievable. It's not very often you see stocks down, 35% or whatever it was at the lows of the day. Was it down 40%? It was down over 40 points. 140, do the math. Either way, this stock just absolutely crushed. It was the conference call that really did it. We talked about this yesterday. They talked about, competition. They talked about issues that you thought sales were going to decline or sales were going to be rough going forward. And you can't have that. Valuation on all the China stocks are dirt cheap. The cheapest stocks from a valuation metric in the world. All of them. They just hate China stocks. Mm-hmm. And you cannot say anything negative. You can't even think anything negative. If you're on the conference call and you're thinking negative thoughts, the market will read into that. It's kind of a joke, but kind of serious. China stocks cannot say anything negative at all. They talk about competition, it's going to be a tough 6 months, year. Man, they punish you severely. I don't know. It's not a lot of times. Sometimes you actually see them bounce a little bit the next day, just like seller
I know.
But now we're getting follow through. Like you get a hit. Sometimes you get follow through. When you get a slam, like just destroy it. Sometimes it's a capitulatory move and actually bounce. It's not. It's down again. So not that a buck is a big deal. I don't have the guts to come in. I mean, you have some valuation support, but valuation support hasn't mattered on any China stock in years.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a story that just went ice cold, not cooling. It went ice cold suddenly. You have a stock that's held up better than a lot of the other China stocks. People were saying, well, this is best of breed. And all of a sudden, it's like, maybe it's not. And I mean, Baba got hit on this yesterday, too. Baba was down $4 at one time. And I'm just looking at this thing and you, me, and I'm thinking about you, AB, and I'm like, it's Baba. It just, can't stay up. I mean, they didn't even do anything. They had their quarter already reported, and they're going to punish them $4. So I thought about buying more Baba yesterday because I'm like, this isn't Baba's problem. It's Pinduoduo's problem. And Baba's doing so many other things. They're into robotics. They're into this. They're into that. And then I just think, what the hell am I doing? Why am I buying any more China stocks? The China stocks have been the worst stocks in my portfolio, besides Intel, which is the worst stock of all stocks. And I'm like, why even bother? Even though I'm flat on the Baba, I think I'm averaging right around 81 or 82. Why come in and have more pain? These stocks have just sucked. Technically, Baba don't look that bad to me. I want to hear Joel's thoughts from a technical.
Yeah.
Pinduoduo. First, do the technicals on Pinduoduo.
Oh boy.
Because we're going to throw you under the bus for this one, trying to find a bottom.
I mean, there's a couple different. I mean, if you're looking to buy, I can't. I think what happened is some people took it home overnight, and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be up $5 in the morning." This is ridiculous, and then it's not up $5. But couple different strategies. You could step out here and lean on yesterday's low at 95.86. You can wait for a test of yesterday's low, or you can look for a breach of yesterday's low and then come back above it. That's if you want to own it. And then also, that close from yesterday, I would keep an eye on that, right on the kisser, right on $100. I mean, I would not look for a sustained rally until the buyers step up from wherever they're going to be. Right now, it's 95.86, and you get a triple digit bid, then maybe you got some room on the upside. And I know this is totally uncorrelated, and I know that Pinduoduo and Nvidia are totally different stocks. One's whatever, but you can't. I would be seeing that kind of price action. If I had Nvidia, that would make me a little nervous going into the report, just because I don't know. I mean, there's a chance that no matter what Nvidia says or does, people are going to dump that stock. The expectations are so high, and if the meet
how do we go to Nvidia? You were talking about me going on tangents. We're talking China now. We're into Nvidia. How did this happen?
I learned from the best. I don't know.
We'll continue your Nvidia thoughts in a minute, but
I'm just saying, watch this 130 area. Today, tomorrow, after the close, that's in it, because some big boys are
save the Nvidia comments. We're talking China right now. We're bringing you back in. We're reining you in. Nvidia comments. We will cover Nvidia again multiple times in the next 2 trading sessions.
Okay,
and
no more
multiple
Nvidia
times on the show. But where are we buying Pinduoduo? Are we never buying the stock again? Because PDD just took out every support level, including the 100 psychological support here, and it's continuing to leak down. Is this just a no-touch, Joel? I mean, the thing's trading. Let's just do for fun. Trusty Benzinga Pro, calendars, PE. Okay. Calendars, we're going to talk to we know
I got to look for,
you
can look at all you want, all the fundamentals. I got to see at least 2 lows in the same area or close to each other, and then a bump up, and then a little bit of quiet consolidation, and then you have something to lean on. Right now, no, I don't want to own it anywhere at any price. But tomorrow, if it goes down to 96.50, bounces and closes at 99.5, then I'll be like, okay, I can risk $3 here. But you got nothing on the monthlies. Well, 96.45. Oh, you do have some confluence there, because in April of 2023, you had a low at 96.45. You had a low at 95.96 yesterday. If you want to call it a double bottom on the monthlies, then go ahead. I mean, it did hit some. I would have been more comfortable buying at that number yesterday than I would today. But let's see. 96 is the number right now for Pinduoduo. Let's see if it holds.
I'm not touching
it. My concern with Pinduoduo would be that even if you're seeing a lot of growth in terms of sales and more people are downloading the Temu app, there's just no way they make a lot of money on Temu or Pinduoduo is the parent company of Temu, which is the actual app that people buy goods on, and it's basically like a cheaper Amazon. But I was with a guy. I helped this guy who was a little older, and he didn't understand his app. He's like, I ordered stuff off this app. How can I see where it is? So I showed him where to go to my orders and track it and all this stuff. And he showed me what he got, and he spent like $30, and it was like 8 different things, like jumper cables, a knife, like this and that, and like I was like, how do you get all this stuff for $30? There's no way they actually make a lot of money per sale on there based on how cheap the stuff is. So I mean, again, like just looking at the growth of the app and stuff, I don't think tells the whole story. But all right, we covered Pinduoduo.
Who was the old guy you helped with that?
He was just a guy at the at the gym at Lifetime, which we haven't checked up on that stock yet.
What a nice guy.
I tried, yeah.
Would you buy Baba?
Yeah, I would buy Baba. I'd buy Baba because Baba.
Joel? Oh, go ahead. Well, you own Baba. I own Baba too.
I know. I'm saying I would buy more Baba because
I kind of want to buy more too. Are we going to go out and buy more Baba today? We're going to get punished severely because we're going to look at this stock in like 6 months and say, well, China stocks only go down. And it's going to be like at 70 and we're 65 and we're like, why did we buy that?
We'll dollar cost average in then. We'll buy some more.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be fine.
Never frown average down. Yeah. I have only a half size position of Baba. I always intended to buy more because I just assumed it was going to go lower. And now I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's 71 or whatever when it was down there in June, July was the bottom. And maybe we're going to get, and we're bouncing. JD's doing a buyback. But is China just going to like harpoon these stocks again because that's what they seem to do to their own companies? Is that going to happen? So are you buying more Baba today or not, AB?
I would, and here's why: is because Baba's not just reliant on selling goods to Chinese consumers. You could have an economic slowdown or something there. Like they have like the whole cloud data. Like they have like the AWS of China. It feels like they're doing all this cloud data server stuff that if in the company's most recent earnings report, if you went through it, that part of the business was continuing to grow at an impressive rate. And I think, I remember when they talked about spitting off their business into like 5 different parts. I don't know if they actually ended up going through with that or not. Dennis, you remember that?
Yeah, no, they wanted to do that, and then the ant.
They got yeah.
They got harpooned by the China government, I believe, on all that.
Okay,
and they were trying to spin them off.
When I'll buy Baba.
But one other consideration here, Alibaba. You're right. It's not just an e-commerce play. This does everything. Like they got autonomous delivery robots. They got a lot of robotics going on here. Like if Alibaba, and we'll say it again, people, it's not just me that says, if Alibaba was in Silicon Valley and a U.S. company, it'd be worth 3 to 4 times as much as it is. But because it's in China, they just hate it. They're doing so many things. Like from robotics, obviously e-commerce is where they got started. I mean, they are really, and the cloud services, they are really the Amazon of China. And I'm going to say it here today. And again, maybe people will say it now, but a week ago, to Spinner's point, everybody was saying Pinduoduo is best of breed. Baba has always been best of breed. Baba has always been best of breed. They still are best of breed. Baba is best of breed in China. And it is just trading, and the metrics on this one are an absolute joke. I mean, again, you just don't know the geopolitical risk, though. But you're trading 9 times forward earnings on Alibaba. The price to sales, Joel, is 1.5. It's 1.5. It's so low, it's laughable. It's the price to sales. Again, it's a retailer. Retailers trade with low price to sales. But Amazon's 3.1. So you're talking Alibaba on price to sales metrics of half. PE is 37 at Amazon, forward PE. Alibaba, it's 9. I mean, it's so cheap and it's laughable. I don't know, like, part of me just wants to say, I want to load up in Alibaba. They're going to be into everything. They're going to be into robotics, and they are. Unless, the China government comes in and harpoons them, which is not a non-zero possibility. That's your issue. Political. It's geopolitical risk. That's it. That's your risk.
I have a fundamental reason when I'll buy Baba. When there's an insider buy from Jack Ma, and it's at the inside of a prison.
All right, there you go. Jack Ma's buying stock. Joel will too. All right, let's move on from China stocks.
People saying Tencent's best of breed. Of the stocks, I can't trade Tencent. I'm sorry, it's not actively traded in the U.S., so I don't consider Tencent. But yeah, Tencent's a huge company there too. You can go buy the ADR, so you can go.
What's the symbol on that? I never get it.
Hey, whenever they have 5, I don't even look them. TECHY. I'm guessing it.
TECHY.
TCHEY. I think I got the letters right, probably in the wrong order.
Help me out, chat.
It's got like 5 symbols in there.
TCHY.
What is it?
TCEHY.
Yep.
Okay. There's a chart of that.
All right. So we did mention Nvidia a little bit while we were talking about China. Not sure how we got there, but let's go back there to Nvidia real quick. Preview the earnings a little bit here before we do have some news with Eli Lilly as well. But let's go back to Nvidia's chart here, Joel. And what's the expected move here? Do we know already?
I think I heard 15.
Okay, that doesn't seem like that much. So 10%. I mean, you go back, so 15 would be a little bit more than 10% here. 10%, of course, would be $12.50 for Nvidia. So, I mean, it looks like the bar is getting lowered a tiny bit because now we've sold off $5 from 130, which is where we were at, yesterday when we started the day. So down $5 heading into this report.
Gerald Fitt just put in here that $100 put for Nvidia is $2,700. Is that going far out? That can't be the weekly. That can't be.
What that is meaningless? How many shares are you talking? Like how many
He said $100 put contract is over one contract.
Well, no, not one contract's going to be $2,700. It's $100 put, so it doesn't go to minus $2,600. So you're talking about like 10 contracts.
I don't know
how many. So what do you want to know? What do you want to know? I'll look them up right now. What do you want to know?
All right, what's the weekly 100 put in Nvidia?
The weekly 100?
Yeah.
100. Okay. Yeah, I'll look it up. It's not going to be that much. It's way out.
A weekly.
I'd be lucky if it's a buck.
It's over a buck.
38 cents.
38 cents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
38 cents. I said that'd be lucky it's a buck. It's 37 cents. Nobody thinks Nvidia's falling under $100.
The September monthlies might be, let's see, that might be what he was looking at.
August 30th, this week, it's 37 cents. So if you really think Nvidia is going to get harpooned, I don't think anybody thinks Nvidia is going to get harpooned 25 points here right now. I don't think they're thinking that. It's actually probably a low bet. Like 38 cents seems pretty damn low. I would have thought about a buck. So
what about the 110s?
The 110s or $1.33?
What about the 150 calls? That's what I want.
Oh yeah.
150 calls.
58 to 6. No, sorry. It's a buck.
A buck.
So they're skewed to the upside.
I'll buy
25 points up is a buck, but 25 points down is 38 cents. This Wall Street's rigged to the upside, Joel. We've said that all day. That's rigged to the upside. There's a lot of calls. There's not a lot of puts. People are still bullish this stock. It's interesting to look at the options flow, to try to see. You can really see. And people don't naturally think about selling. They think about buying. People think about lottery tickets. They don't think about insurance. Puts, insurance, calls, lottery tickets. So there's always more calls than puts. But there's a lot more calls than puts. I mean, I'm just looking at the 150s, 69,000 contracts, the equivalent 100. Well, it's 41,000 that, but there's 4,000 on the 101s, 8,000 on the 102s. I'm just looking at open interest. Maybe a day late, this data, but it's about right. And then if you're just looking at the money, so the straddle, which everybody wants to know about always, straddle is approximately 695 and 730. What is that? 14.25?
Yeah, 14 to 15.
14 to 15 bucks is the expected move. Sounds right. Sounds right. The 100 put seems low at 38 cents. I want to go buy 100 puts now. I think you're throwing 38 cents away, though.
Wait, I just want to say, someone made a comment here. He says, Ryan Ringo says, Nvidia doesn't miss often. No, they don't. But what do they say on the conference call? And just being, and once again, I'm not going to say they're going to pull a Pinduoduo, but I mean, can they come out and saying, yes, we beat, we're raising, we're selling so many of these chips, AI is taking over tomorrow. I mean, I don't know if it's this quarter, next quarter, or never quarters. I wouldn't bet on the never quarters, but eventually they're going to have to say something that, the market doesn't jive with. And I'll just stick with this 130 level. I know what it's nice with the straddle at 15 because that takes it up to the all-time high at 140. So that'd be an interesting area on the downside. And then, boy, oh boy, that was just a stealth move up from the $90 area. But that'll be fun. That will be an interesting earnings report tomorrow. We got
so much to digest on Nvidia. I mean, it's 47 times forward earnings right now. When I was buying it, it was 27 times forward earnings when I was buying it back in at the beginning of the year. Price to sales on this puppy is now 39 times. That's almost unheard of. So valuation is nosebleed to it. It's nosebleed like Cava almost. Their gross margin's 78%. So we know the margins probably are going to come tighter too. Typical software companies run high, 40, 50% out. They run 78%. There's lots of, it's priced to perfection. There's absolutely no doubt. And even with the recent run up, I would still argue it's priced for perfection. Can they deliver though? They're probably going to be. Can they beat the high bar that's set here? I mean, the stock's up 30% in 12, 13 trading sessions. Maybe. I don't know. Like, I'm torn on it. I'm still long. I'm still got, I don't know what I have, like 30, 40% of my original position, maybe less, because I had multiple accounts and I've sold it multiple times. But I've sold a good like 60, 70% of the position. And mainly, not because I don't believe in the story, just because it's expansion, the multiple expansion here has been pretty incredible too. It's went from 27 times to 47 times. So, it's grown earnings over that times too. And it's up 200 and I forget what I'm up. I think I'm up 220% or something on it. I mean, this has been a fabulous stock. Sometimes it's just good to take the money and move on.
That will certainly be what we will all be watching tomorrow after the close, and it will have big implications, not just for AMD, but basically every company tied to AI, whatever happens with Nvidia tomorrow. Before we get our special guest, Adam Mesh, on today, let's talk about this Eli Lilly news real quick. So Eli Lilly announced it is dropping the price of one of its drugs, and the stock dropped along with that. So you had the price drop. I'm getting the exact details on this story. Sorry, my thing is loading. But Eli Lilly, Joel, dropped all the way down to what, $920 or no, $936 this morning, and bounced back.
I got 920.01.
Wow. All right. So Eli Lilly releases cheaper Zepbound vials priced up to 50% lower to boost access supply for its popular weight loss drug. So obviously, if the company's selling the same drug for 50% less, they're going to be making less money per vial. But the stock came all the way back.
What time did that come out?
I have it on the wire on Benzinga Pro at 7:35 in the morning.
Is that real? Did they really hit it down to $921?
Yeah,
I'm going to look at the tape.
Not much traded, Dennis.
When stuff comes off, and it's that early. What time do you have that at?
6:59.
Okay.
I'm going to look.
It traded, Dennis. It traded 381 shares.
921 at 6:59.
There was only very few trades
at the low, but there was a lot of stock that traded on the way down. They had to take out everything that's in there, so they hit it. Like, they hit quite a few shares. Bigger size here. It's mostly odd lots on the book. That's the problem at that. $900 and retails. Out there, it's mostly odd lots, but they hit. They started hitting this thing at around 647. And then, they continue to go at 654 and 654 and a lot of odd lots. I'm looking, it's all odd lots.
Yeah, I just pulled up the
odd lots like crazy. 918.30. One share trade at 918.20, 918.27.
Really?
3 shares. Yeah. So this thing really went 659. It went really down. And then 7 o'clock, which is the open on other exchanges, it started to pop back up. But wow, what an overshoot there too. I mean, you could have got done out there. You wouldn't have got done on thousands of shares, but you could have got done on some stock. I traded some stock down there. These algos, they overshoot.
All right, that's history now. Let's just look at consolidating near the high of the move, right? We're trading down 253. You've had 4 closes over 950. I'm not even going to look at the all-time high, 972. But I'd see what happens. If 950 becomes an area of support today, the next couple days, then, strap on your 1,000 goggles and we'll get ready for that. If somehow sellers start to congregate this 950 area, then maybe you get a little correction. But I remember after earnings, I was thinking, well, gap and go. Will it hold the low? Well, it held the low off the gap and go. So strong move. Consolidation near the high of the move. Let's see how the market digests 950.
All right. Miami Printing asking what happened with Cava. We covered that at the top of the show. That was some insider
rewind.
selling, or at least a group of executives filing to insider sell or to sell some shares. So stock was trading down about 10%. Haven't checked on it since. But all right, it is about 8:35. We've got our very special guest hanging out backstage. We've got Adam Mesh. It is a T3 Tuesday. We've had Adam on the show before. Love having Adam on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and give Mr. Mesh our very special pre-market prep welcome and see what Adam's been watching. All right, Adam, welcome back to pre-market prep. How are you doing this morning?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on again. Love being with you guys.
Of course, we love having you. So big week this week. We've got Nvidia's report coming tomorrow, of course. Market is kind of hanging out this weird spot where it's close to all-time highs, not quite there. What have you been watching? What's your outlook been? What have you been trading?
So for me, the market hasn't been moving that much. We had that dip, came back, but it doesn't, the volatility was there for a day. And It's gone. So I'm trying to sit in my hands as much as I can. I remind myself every day, it's August, don't believe the moves. So most of the moves we've seen don't have continuation. So I've been selling a lot of credit spreads. That's been working. Any kind of dip, any kind of down, I just sell underneath it and it seems to hold. Except for ASTS, which just never stopped going up. That's the one stock that I wish I would bought calls on instead of selling puts.
Wait. So are you in this one? ASTS, AST Space Mobile?
So I have the misfortune of I own it, but I sold 17 calls against it. I was in it since 11, and it kept going to 30-something. So I rolled the calls back as much as I could, but now I'm just sitting there watching it go.
This chart is crazy. So do these stocks come on your radar once they've already broken out a little bit and then you're watching them to see if they can continue breaking out? Are you finding these they're, down here before they've even started having this breakout move?
I was a little late to this one. This one started at 2 or 3.
Okay.
I found it at 11, so I think I was late to that. But obviously not.
Right. If it goes from 11 to 30, you're not that late. You came in at the right time.
But my trigger for watching these is seeing if the spike in volume could continue or if it was just a one-day event. When the volume tends to hold, it becomes more significant. So with this one, the volume stayed. And the story is kind of exciting. They did a $100 million deal with Verizon. They did a deal with AT&T. And the idea is going to be wireless in space. Although I've spoken to other people, and the reason I don't know more is because they're old satellites, and this is a better story than it is real. So that made me temper my expectations a little bit.
Got it. Yeah, a lot of times when you see a stock go from $2 up to 30, there's a lot of times there's going to be it's important to know kind of when to start taking some profits, get out of there. Are there any other individual names, Adam, that you've been watching outside ASTS?
Yeah, I'm trading pretty much anything that's moving. Some of the low flyers, but I've been watching Nvidia, SMCI, Amazon, Palantir, Hood. I played golf on Friday and I forgot I had 750 SoFi calls, and I got assigned a couple thousand shares and it opened up yesterday. So I got lucky with that one. But for the most part, just selling credit spreads for the summer for the last month and just taking in income and looking to kind of, as I call it, build a lead when we get into the real trading towards the end of the year, where we hopefully will have some more opportunities.
Got it. So let's talk about SMCI for a sec, because this is an interesting one that, has been kind of beaten up a little bit. Obviously got up to its crazy highs of more than $1,200. Now got back to around $550, but prone for a big move tomorrow with Nvidia's earnings. I mean, if you wanted to play if you wanted to play SMCI during Nvidia's earnings, how would you set this up? Would you do it with a credit spread?
No, I probably wouldn't trade this into earnings. I don't like seeing the earnings get released and having my fate decided without being able to react, especially with options. So the most likely way I would trade it is if there was a reversal. So let's say Nvidia opened the down big. but then it started to settle and it started to turn and it looked like it was going to make a swing move. Then maybe like if it was moving too fast, I'd jump on some SMCI calls and ride the wave afterwards. So if there's like a reversal after the earnings and I could catch it, it's an easier trade for me.
Got it. So you like to kind of come in and see that action first and and then that way you can react to it rather than just being at the, not having any control over what happens while the earnings are going on. That makes sense. What about just overall market outlook here? I know you mentioned it's August, so you're kind of, people aren't trading as much maybe, but the overall market I mentioned is, basically we've completely recovered from that yen carry trade scare and back right up at around all-time highs. So now the question becomes, do we break through these previous highs or do we get some sort of kind of double toppy action up here? What's your overall market outlook right now?
I was listening to the technical analysis before I came on, and that really does sound good. For me, I always lean as if we won't, sometimes to my detriment, but I don't think we're going to go to new highs. I don't have a basis for that. That's just how I'm trading. I'm not like loading up for this big breakout through new highs. I've had trouble believing this for a long time now. I've seen too many sell-offs, so that's why I kind of just, I think I don't know if we had this conversation. You know who I am? I'm John Turturro and Rounders, right?
Nice.
That's who I am. I go, I sit, I take my cash. I don't want to go up against KGB in the big showdown and risk it all. I literally just want to grind and do what I do and make my money and not try to predict what's going to happen on the larger scale. That's really that's who I've become.
You know what, though? That's like mostly my day job, too. Like, we come on this show, Pre-Market Prep, and everybody wants a prediction. Everybody thinks, that we're making our money by calling the market and we're making great calls. And you know what? Professional trading is a completely different animal. It's grinding. It's employing your systems. It's actually kind of boring. Like, I would say the majority of my trading, my actual day trading, not my long-term investing, because, and let's face it, long-term investing, you got to make calls. You're making calls that this stock's going to grow, or and swing trading's making calls too. But short-term day trading is mostly about grinding. It's mostly about just employing your systems if you have an edge and continuing to trade your boring systems. And people like if you talk to people in the stock market, 99% of people wouldn't even understand that. But if you talk to a prop trader, they understand what the grind's all about, like employing your system and stuff. Talk about your systems a little bit. So we'll move you away from the predictions, move you away from like trying to call the market here. Talk about how's your day-to-day trading go, Adam? How's your day start?
And by the way, Dennis, that was, I mean, I hate getting out interviewed. I consider myself a very good speaker, but that was awesome. That was.
You know what? I do too. You know what? I was just about to ask you the same thing, Dennis. Why don't you go on break for a little bit? Because I was getting.
Joel's gonna ask the same thing.
I was gonna say, Adam, because like I have my go-to, like,
I muted myself.
I'm following the S&Ps in the middle of the night. Whatever, if I put something on or not. That's my go-to. That's that's my feeling. That's my gut feeling thing. But that, along with what Dennis was saying, what's your, you don't have to show us your screens, but like, do you have just a bunch of different option chains up? Are you a chart guy? Do you have news up? Give us, if we're sitting there at a mesh, what are we looking at?
So I have my list of stocks to trade. It's around 30 stocks, also watching the indexes. I try to get to know them pretty well. I don't mess with the list too often, but every once in a while, I kind of add some names, take some off. Coming to the day, I do pay attention to where things are trading. I'm not a fundamental guy at all. If it's something fundamental, I'll put it in a different account so I don't look at it. Otherwise, I'll be tempted to trade it. So purely based on momentum. And when it comes to my core option strategies, the first one I lean into, like if there's a trade and I want to be right, like reminiscent to stock operator, if you only have one trade and you want to be right, I'm going to target 30 delta credit spread. So I'll sell at the 30 delta, which is the expected move of the stock over around the 30 to 40 day period. And if I get 50 to 60% of that premium collected early, I'll just close the trade. I won't even wait for the rest. That's a trade I do often. It has over an 80% win rate. People feel comfortable with you. As Dennis said, it's very boring. But when the trade's over, people like it because your P&Ls went up. So that's number one. The other is a diagonal calendar. I could do that with credit spreads on both sides, but typically the way I'll do it is I prefer to leg in. So if something's looking good for the day, I'll try to jump on, buy a call, and if I can make money quick, I might just close it. But if all of a sudden it stops or it starts to go against me a little bit, instead of getting out, the call alone will go out a couple of months. So then I'll sell next week's call against it, again, around the 30 delta above it. So I start to collect premium, which is like collecting rent. So I look to bring down the cost of the trade and put myself in position where any kind of a move at that point is to make me profitable. So that's the way I use options. I will do some 0-day expirations on the indexes, but I gotta tell you, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. I think it's so hard, and I toy with the idea of never trading them again because even when I'm right, like yesterday, I came in with some puts on the Qs just because I felt like we were gonna have a down open, and like watched it for the first hour, didn't get it, was like, all right, I'm out of here, and then it happened right. Like I think it's so hard to trade the indexes. What do you guys think?
I think like there's a time and a place for it, and I certainly will. Like if there's say a day where the S&P 500 SPY is trading down, say 0.5%, it's around like noon. Especially once you wait like halfway through the day, you can get some really cheap contracts so that if there is a move, even to the upside, say I buy calls that are $3 outside, even if it doesn't always get to that $3, if it bounces just $1, I can often sell those contracts for like an 100% gain real quick. And then sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh my God, if I would have held those, I would have made so much more money. But I'm more looking at it for like, if I get that move right away, I can sell those contracts quickly and just get in and out. And sometimes I'll like trim, I'll sell half and keep half in case the market keeps running. Because again, you'll get some of those days where they're exciting, but that's kind of how I tend to do them is I'll take a look at them kind of halfway through the day, look at, see if I see any good deals is when I'll hop in and buy some.
By the way, same, but it's like even when you do that and you're right, and you even buy like a 20-cent call,
right,
and you sell it for 60 cents, you're like, great, that was great. And then all of a sudden it's $3 and you're like, oh my God.
Exactly.
Right? It's just so hard to time. Like even when you win, you don't feel good on those. But
yeah, no, how DJK is putting in the chat, it's I look at it as gambling. Like say I do that with $100, I buy 5 20-cent contracts. I don't view that any differently than if I threw $100 on a baseball game because it's basically 50-50. Is this going my way or is it not? It's really less than 50-50 because 50% it goes, down or up. But then there's also a chance that it just keeps trading sideways and then you're losing money too. So there's like a less than 50% chance that you're making money doing that. But when you get it right, it could be nice.
Well, it's 50-50 that you'll be profitable at one point though. So if you are taking those profits, it is 50-50 that you'll be profitable on that, especially if you're buying in a noon, which is nice. I like that. And it's low risk. And, you have a very defined risk. You know exactly how much you can lose, which is more likely than not, at least for me, what's going to happen. But then you have that chance that it goes, you 10x your money in an hour, and it's fun. But I just do that for fun, and it's not something that I would use for an actual strategy to make money over time because I don't know how much that works.
Adam, before we let you go, we got 2 important questions for you. One, are you coming in for a Michigan game?
Yeah, I was at the national championship, and
I know. I was. What about this year?
Last year, so yeah, for sure, I'm coming to a Michigan game this year.
All right, let me know because sitting next to me in the big house might be your best sports experience of your life if it's an Ohio State game. So, and just real quick, what's your prediction for this tumultuous season coming up?
Oh, I mean, well, they expanded the playoffs, right? So I'm going in with like nothing to lose. We're the champs, like literally the national champs until the last game. So I'm just gonna enjoy everything, even if we lose 2 games in a row. We're the champs.
Yeah, I know, and that's it. Even though like they're coming after us big time, I don't know. A lot of people are saying 8-4, some say 9-3, some say 10-2. But I'll go with my dad's prediction. Every year, we're gonna go undefeated until we lose a game, and then if we lose that game, that's the only game of the year we're gonna lose.
By the way, the schedule is very tough.
It is very tough, but thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right,
I feel like I there's two things I'll say real quick. Do I have a minute, or am I
Yeah.
good?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Stay.
One thing I want to say that I think is important when we're talking about options that I noticed is a trend, and you guys can comment or talk about it after I get off. You know, the company I had sold my company to that I was a part of bought up all these other companies. So I saw all these different strategists, and when we communicate with each other, the one thing we agreed upon was any kind of service that revolved around buying calls and puts just by themselves was almost like dormant. It wasn't hard. It was very hard to put on a good number of trades and opportunities, especially if you're talking about options going out weeks. So the idea of collecting premium has been the trend right now. So that's why when you guys ask me about what I'm doing, everything involves a premium collection component. It's very rare these days that I'm putting on a trade without some kind of premium collection because it's been the right move. Because even when this market goes up, if you buy options going out 3 weeks, you're better off collecting premium than trying to time the calls. And that's why I said like the ASTS move is the rare move. Most things like a Peloton or something like that, they make a 3-point move, they look great, and then they stop, and then they go back and forth for $1. So even though they're still strong, the calls going out weeks aren't working. So I think it's important just to share that. And then I have this. I see this register now. I have an event on Wednesday. So I have Tom Sosnoff from Tasty Trade,
Nice.
who he founded Thinkorswim, then he founded Tasty Trade. I've learned more from him than anyone else about options trading. And so what happens is every Wednesday, this is at 4:30, he comes on, I interview him, and we just talk about all things options. And it's a great educational event. He talks about everything he's seeing and doing. He shares his screen. People love it. It's my most popular event, and love for your audience to come on and check it out at 4:30 on Wednesday, 4:30 Eastern.
Yeah, we have the link in the description. I'll throw it in the chat as well. The banner up on the thing says today, but I believe it is actually tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. I think we have
tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So throwing this in the chat as well if you guys want to go check that out with Adam. Adam Mesh again from T3 Trading. Thanks for hopping on Benzinga's pre-market prep with us this morning. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you so much. And you should clip that thing that Dennis went on and use it as its own piece because it was so spot on. I really do.
They'll do it. All right. Go blue, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, Joel, you're saying
well, what's going on, Dennis? What did you do to the market?
Man. Falling.
What's going on?
Falling. Yeah, we've completely fallen out of bed. We started the show, the S&P was basically flat, and now we've lost 15 handles. Nvidia's leading the charge on the downside, down 1.2% here right now. But it's not just tech. This is an everything sell-off happening here, and I'm not sure if somebody said something or did something or a federal official, because we have the TLT trading down significantly. We got the IWM really getting hit harder than the overall market. The IWM has been a source of strength the last couple of days, holding up very well yesterday in a little bit of a tech wreck tape. We have the IWM trading down 0.73% here right now. So it's been a quiet, little slippery death by 1,000 cuts hour here, where we just keep leaking and leaking and leaking. I'm not sure the overall catalyst here. Do have oil selling off here as well. Market maker talking with that in the chat. I'm seeing just across the board selling. I'm seeing like not a lot of pockets of strength here. Not that it's a significant selling because we're only down 16 handles, but it's just kind of across the board, across sectors. Like usually you have, they're selling tech. Well, they're buying, something else. I don't see that this morning. I kind of see them just selling a little bit of everything.
You know what? A couple things. One, I think I'm nervous over the Nvidia. Remember when Dimitri used to get so mad at us? What did we call it? Nvidia? Remember?
Yeah,
Nvidia. I was going to take a picture and then and show you this chart here, Dennis, and I forgot to do it last night. Look at this chart. Look at that yen.
Yep.
I don't know if something's going on, but it ain't giving back.
We're starting to pop up a little bit here on the Look at the FXY too. So bring that up and you might just see it a little bit clearer here. But FXY, if you because a lot of people don't subscribe to futures quotes, FXY is getting back up to the top. It's starting to come back up here. Not that it's a problem, and if maybe the carry trade got fully unwound and everybody who borrowed Japanese yen sold that day, but I don't think so. I think there's still some people who are borrowing in cheap yen. And as the FXY goes higher, and we talked about this on the show for the last couple of weeks, not in the last week, but in the last couple of weeks, saying if the yen all of a sudden starts to perk up again, if the yen decides to try to get back up to those highs again, the market could start to roll over again. I don't think it's coincidence the last couple of days the yen's starting to perk up here again. Do you think it's coincidence, Joel?
That's why I brought it up, Dennis.
Not this morning. FXY is not really up much this morning.
The last couple days. Yes.
Last couple of days, the yen's perking up. Last couple of days while tech's stalling out.
Yes.
Don't forget your correlations, and we are definitely inversely correlated right now with the Japanese yen. Will the Japanese yen matter a year from now? Probably not. Does it matter today? Yes, it does.
Well, we'll have some other Bubba Misa to talk about in 6 months or 8 months. Unemployment or
it'll be another crisis, or it'll be another thing, another, stock that's taken over the market. Lots to talk about, but interesting markets we have here, folks. It changes, and again, we're still in the dog days of August, so maybe it's quiet, but you know what? It's not been a quiet August. It's been quite a bit of action this August, which is somewhat out of the norm, and it's setting up for a pretty wild September. And we know all that's going to matter, folks. Again, we'll say it is Nvidia's earnings tomorrow night. It's going to be the dictator for the next move overall. Maybe we get like a one of these reactions where, well, they're good earnings, but they're not good enough, and the stock doesn't know what to do, and it just kind of stays where it is. That's possible too. Let's screw all the option buyers. I kind of like that setup where the option buyers get screwed and Nvidia closes the week at 125. That would screw the most people, because there's people making bullish bets, there's people making bearish bets. What would screw the people the most is a 125 close on Friday. That would screw the most of them. Maybe that's the setup. Maybe we got to stop thinking about 20 up or 20 down. What if we just start thinking about sideways
consolidation? Yep. Yeah. I just want to point out in the S&Ps, this is our formation in July. Like run up, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 highs in the same area. They were like between 27, 15, and 20. Doesn't that kind of look like this? What we're currently doing? Doesn't that look almost exactly like it? But just coming back, like, we got back, and man, after this, it's time to lighten up. I mean, it's consolidation, and we'll see what Nvidia can get out of this consolidation mode. But you have hardcore resistance. It caught me yesterday. It broke out of the pair of highs, the weekly high, but it only went 3 points below, and then boom, came right back down. So right now, I'll say resistance is very well defined. If we opened up and we rallied 50 handles right now, I'd have no hesitation selling. If we drop 50 handles, I would look at last week's low and be a little bit more tempered. But I think resistance is a lot easier to define for the time being.
All right, here we got about
pot. We didn't do pot
stocks.
Pot stocks.
You got the headline? I have the headline. If you don't have the headline,
they're doing something with the. I don't have the exact headline, but they're
come on. We talked about it.
They're making a ruling, a regulatory ruling today, right?
No. So the DEA schedules hearing on marijuana rescheduling. So they're delaying reform until after the election.
Ooh.
This is the hit here. So they're delaying, basically making a decision. Hearing will be held on December the 2nd now. So they're pushing it down, and this is not good for your pot stocks. MSOS, if you bring it up, it is currently trading. The chart you're showing on the left is no good because it's just showing us. We want to see what's doing. We're pre-market prep. We need to default that to the pre-market chart because we're pre-market prep. That's what's happening in pre-market. MSOS down 12%.
All right, tell TradeStation to do that. Tell TradeStation to do that.
AC, well, they should be able to do that. ACB down 5%. Chronos, pick your poison here right now because all the pot stocks are getting hit. But if you like, a lot of people like trade that MSOS, it's getting hit the most. So that's your news.
Dennis, if you had a farm full of tomatoes and you had a farm,
that's just a funny start to a question. That might be one of the funniest starts to a question that I've ever had.
If I said I'm going to give you a warehouse full of tomatoes right now or a warehouse full of pot, what would you take right now?
Well, I'd take the pot because it's still valued way more than the warehouse of tomatoes. But I've talked about this, and this is why I hated the pot stocks for years and years and years. Who listen to this show, I was like, the valuations make no sense. People out there growing in the valuations. They were never going to grow into those valuations because I come from Leamington, and you got a greenhouse full of pot plants worth $2 million, and you got a greenhouse full of or a greenhouse full of tomato plants worth $2 million. Same exact greenhouse full of pot plants valued at $2 billion. Made no sense. None. Zero. Zilch. Pure stupidity, people who were buying all these pot stocks 5 years ago. And that's why Tilray at $300 made no sense at all. At $1, maybe they've come down. I've never revalued these. Maybe some of them make sense. But when you were buying your pot stocks in 2018, that was a story that was so hot, and valuation doesn't matter. But I come from a town that's full of greenhouses. I come from the town where Afria was founded, where they, the founders are there.
Afria,
I see all those people got rich. There's not much difference between tomatoes. You got a greenhouse, growing stuff, full of pot plants worth 1,000 times more than tomato plants. Now it's not. And that's why these stocks have come down so significantly. If you were buying CGC at 600, you didn't listen to pre-market prep, and you didn't do your homework, and you didn't travel to Leamington to see, hey, why is one greenhouse worth $2 million and the other greenhouse is worth $2 billion? Makes no sense whatsoever. Sometimes just common sense in investing. That was no common sense.
Right across?
Everybody who bought CGC, going to say this out loud, piss a lot of people off. Everybody who bought CGC at $500 and Tilray at $200 in 2018 deserved to lose all their money. They didn't listen to pre-market prep, didn't do their homework. No homework done.
All right, well, that takes us a little bit past 9 a.m. Joel, you got final thoughts here on the pot stocks before we wrap up for the day?
No, I mean, it's been a choppy session. I will look. I'd love to see us get back to unchanged. Now that's 15 handles away. I think people are just lightening up ahead of this Nvidia report. So not worrying about the pre-market high. I'd like to see it get unchanged. And then, I mean, on the downside, I mean, you got some lows from last Wednesday, a close Wednesday, and a low on Thursday, right around 5,600. So I'd give that 2-star support. But so far, for what we've seen, it's going to be a choppy day. And our guest for tomorrow is going to be Mies Schneider from Market Gauge, and we're going to get her on this month and talk about the modern family and get her take on the technicals and fundamentals in stocks as well as commodities.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you to everyone who tuned in to Pre-Market Prep today. Thank you to T3. Again, that link is in the description if you want to go check out Adam's thing tomorrow. Other than that,
He was great.
Yeah,
I love Adam, and not just because he went to Michigan.
Yeah, well, you love that too. But I'll tell you right now, T3, you look at everybody we get from T3, from Scott, obviously, to Adam, to Derek. I mean, to Jay, to everybody. They're all top guests. These guys have just got it going on. And if you're thinking about being a prop trader, I'll say it. T3, great firm. Obviously, I came from Bright Trading, great firm as well. T3, great firm too. Both good choices.
All righty. We will be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Joel, who do we got coming on with us again?
I said Mies Schneider. Mies Schneider. I'm sorry. Mies Schneider's coming up.
Me and AB are doing. AB's a multitask master. If AB wants to ask me the same question 3 times, I know he's busy doing 3 other things back there.
Boy.
And you know what? Multitasking, like it, you've got to flip. You're always flipping back and forth what you're doing. Your brain can actually only concentrate on one thing at a time. So when you're multitasking, you flip.
There's like no such thing as
how
truly
quickly you flip.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back with Mies Schneider tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Of course, we've got Nvidia's earnings tomorrow after the close. We'll cover that Thursday morning, so should be an exciting week on Pre-Market Prep. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Live trading after this. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning.